Hello Mass Effect Nation. One thing before we get into this video, I just wanted to say while recording the audio for this video, I am very sick. I have space plague. I don't know. Whatever it is, it makes my throat feel like I just got tear gassed. So, if I sound like I'm a little under the weather during this video, that is why. Trust me, I am still enthusiastic and really excited to bring you this news, and that's why I recorded it while I was sick. So keep that in mind while listening to this video. Hello, Mass Effect Nation. If you don't know already, we finally have a glimpse as to what Mass Effect Andromeda actually looks like. And no, not just merely screenshots, but actual gameplay footage. I recently uploaded a video showing this gameplay, and in this video, I plan to break this gameplay down and analyze it frame by frame. There is a lot more information and details in this gameplay footage than you might think, so let's not waste any time and get right to it. A little bit of background information on this footage. Now supposedly it was leaked by a NeoGAF user. This user's name was Taker34, and this footage was supposedly a video reel on a website of a certain developer who is currently working on Andromeda. Now this footage is from a 2014 build of Mass Effect Andromeda, so the game as of right now probably looks maybe a little bit different and better, and certainly the game will look better when it comes out. Not saying it doesn't look good in this footage, but just keep that in mind. Now, on to the actual gameplay footage itself. Okay, let's pause here. This first scene looks like what appears to me to be a level of some kind. Maybe a level where a major mission takes place. It's obviously some sort of base, mining facility, production facility, something. It looks like you fight your way across one bridge, go through this open area over here off to the right, because you can see into those buildings through the windows, so it looks like you can actually enter that building at some point in time, and then maybe you go on the bridge way in the background. Later on, you cross one bridge to cross the other kind of thing. Either way, it shows how the lighting is improved and how the graphics overall just look like they're up to date with the current generation of games. Now, on the bottom of this scene, it says, created ambient flame bursts and fog elements. Now, the fog elements obviously is the fog, and the ambient flame bursts, I believe, refers to this scene here, where you can see fire shooting out of some sort of exhaust port. That's why I believe this might be some sort of factory or something, and that's the pollution or stuff that's put off from the factory creating whatever it's doing. Now, the rumor did say that this came from a developer showing off his skills or something. Maybe BioWare was showing off Mass Effect Andromeda because they're using new type of current generation or next gen graphical effects, such as everything that it's going to be showing you on the bottom of the screen throughout this video. It's almost like they were showing off what they're doing to a press demo or something. That in itself helps me believe that this rumor, or at least the story surrounding this gameplay footage, is true. Now, on to the next scene. Okay, this is really interesting to me. Immediately, that thing in the center of the screen to me reminds me of a shuttle, like what the Normandy in Mass Effect 2 and 3 would use to send Commander Shepard and his squad to the planets. Since the new Normandy was so large, it had a shuttle allowing for the team to land closer and in more tactical locations, as I'm sure you remember. Cortez was the shuttle pilot in Mass Effect 3, if you recall. You can also see weather. Obviously it says rain impacts, and engine VFX. Now, virtual effects is probably what VFX means. It just means it's creating a more realistic world, more dynamic world in terms of physics and graphics, like rain, for instance, as you're going to see in the next scene. I'll explain what this new generation of rain is going to be doing. It's actually pretty cool. Now in the background you can see what's either a planet or a moon or something that's pretty close to the planet that you're on, or whatever you're on. It might be a moon, who knows. Either way, it reminds me of those awesome backdrops in Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 that you'd see while going around and exploring space. You can also see lightning. The lightning looks pretty good, actually. Even though the footage wasn't like 1080p, it still looks pretty good. You can tell the graphics are going to be decent. Okay, now we start getting into the good stuff. Now, this shows a lot more than you might immediately think. Now, before we get to the next scene, you're going to understand what I'm saying, but as you can see, there's 3 people on the right. I believe those 3 people are your squad. Your main character and 2 squad mates, a Krogan and a human to be precise. You'll see this in the next scene of this video. Also off to the left is the Krogan that you're going to see in the next scene of this video. If you've seen this gameplay already, it's the Krogan that had the poisonous pollen plumes, whatever it was, that knocked out the guy with the tattoo. I believe he's on your side or working with you or something. It looks like you're covering him, and you don't try to chase this Krogan. As you all enter the building together, you go off to the right, he goes off to the left, like you planned something together. You can also see the rain impacting the ground and just the overall ambience and especially the lighting of this scene. This looks pretty good, and so far it looks like a Mass Effect game. Now if you pay close attention, you can almost see what looks like the strange pollen poison thing that he's holding. That's what led me to believe this is indeed the Krogan. You can kinda see the shape in his hand. And everyone, your squad on the right, goes into tactical mode like they're covering him. He seems to be pretty confident of what's going on, but of course he's a Krogan. When are a Krogan not confident of themselves? Ah, here's this scene. I love the facial animations. It looks like BioWare might be using facial recording software during cutscenes. That would make the characters animate and look a lot more realistic and lifelike. There's a lot of things to be noticed in this scene. First thing is, look at the detail of the armor. Specifically, the raindrops on the armor itself, which, like I said in the previous scene, it said that rain impacts. Rain impacts would be the environment and armor themselves. You can also see the character model for the human. He seems to have water or moisture on his forehead and his face just from the rain. Looks like the environment is heavily influenced by weather, and I think weather will play an important role in Mass Effect Andromeda, which you'll see as we go on and explain this. Now, as you can see, the pistol that character is holding, it looks like it goes along with Mass Effect technology from the previous games. So it does look and remind me of that Mass Effect feeling that I would get. Looking at this, I know it's Mass Effect. I don't know what that tattoo is. It looks like it might be a diamond or maybe some type of alien skull. I'm not sure, but I just get a bad vibe from that guy. And about the Krogan, I get an overall good vibe. Maybe I could be wrong, who knows. You can see the Krogan responding and ignoring him, and then he hits this poison plume. Created pollen plumes is what it says in the bottom left, referring to the graphical effect that this thing will have. You can see that it puts off the smoke. The smoke spreads, causing him to have a coffee times. Apparently he doesn't like this very much, and apparently the Krogan is immune to this poison. You can see the little pollen plume particle effects going around. That's what I think what it means when it says pollen plumes. It's trying to show off the little graphical quirks that this game's gonna have. Now that Krogan, he seemed to just be sitting there. He didn't look like this was phasing him. Now either that means he's a cold-hearted killer, or that he just seems indifferent to the situation. Maybe this poison isn't killing this man, maybe it's simply knocking him out. This could be a friendlier Krogan, or maybe not, who knows. Either way, the guy falls to the ground, he probably dies. And then you can see your team on the right. Now, I believe the playable character is a human in the middle. He looks like he might be an adept because he's using a pistol. Then you can see there's a Krogan squad member, maybe the same one from this scene in the trailer. And then you can see the human squad mate, who's, what I believe to be a human squad mate, probably a female, in the lower right. They seem to be using the boxes and the crates to separate themselves from this poison or whatever it is. That way they don't breathe it in and die. And you can see that scene that we just saw take place off to the left. Now, I believe that your squad worked with this Krogan because obviously it looks like they're posted up tactically watching this whole whatever it was go down, like they were having the Krogan's back and just wanted to make sure everything went good. It's just really interesting to see though that we have what seems to be the first view of the playable character and 2 of the squad mates. Now obviously these 2 people could just be placeholder NPC models that BioWare put into the game just to take the place of squad mates at this time. But I believe that they are actually 2 of the squad mates we will have. We will obviously have a Krogan, of course. It's Mass Effect. Come on. Now the jetpack scene. This is actual gameplay and not cutscene footage. The closest thing we've seen to Mass Effect in action. In the upper right, you can see the frames meter, the frames per second, pretty close to 60 frames per second, interestingly enough. And that's important because in the center of the screen off to the right, you can see what looks like a left bumper, a Y, and a right bumper. And obviously that means Xbox One. So the graphics are this good on the Xbox and it's running at 60 frames per second. That means it probably will be 1080p 60 frames per second on both the Xbox One and the PS4. But we'll wait to see. That's not all that important anyway. You can also see what looks like two type of ability hotkeys in the middle. I'm not sure what they are. One might be a fireball, another looks like a fish. I really don't know. And then you can see the assault rifle off to the left. You can also see in the lower left that thermal clips are making a return and that ammunition is essentially back. So that means this game took place either during or after the events of Mass Effect 2 and 3. Probably long after. That also looks like, I believe it was the Lancer or the Avenger assault rifle, which is an Alliance assault rifle, and one pretty iconic with the Mass Effect universe. Up in the center screen seems to be seems to be like a navigational compass, similar to Far Cry, Elder Scrolls, other games like that. There also seems to be icons on this compass that signify in what direction certain things are. This leads me to believe that the regions and zones or planets are much larger this time and you have a lot more freedom of movement to explore and find things. You can also see off to the left, debug property true. That means that this was a test of the game, obviously. They were either bug testing or doing something. Now that doesn't mean that the game was almost done back in 2014 and that's why they were testing it. Game developers, especially BioWare, test their games many times during the development process, even early on. You kinda have to make sure stuff works before you wait too long and then find out everything you've been doing was a giant glitch. And the last thing other than the awesome jetpack jump itself during this scene was the little snowflake icon. Now obviously we know this is a snowy planet and it's snowing. I mean, you can see all this taking place before your eyes. Why does the game actually put that icon on screen? That makes me wonder whether or weather effects like rain and snow must have some sort of influence on the gameplay. Maybe it makes it harder to be more accurate due to the wind, or maybe being out and exposed to certain elements can actually cause damage to your characters and cause them to lose health points, such as being out in the blizzard. Either way, it seems that weather and weather effects like rain and snow play maybe not an important role in Mass Effect Andromeda, but one that is more realistic and influential. And one last thing about this scene, you see him jetpack down in front of the door, but then he jetpacks up onto the roof. And the fact that he jetpacks onto the roof tells me that, like I said, you have a lot more freedom of movement. You can explore almost anywhere on these maps, even rooftops. You're not as limited as you were in previous Mass Effect games as to where you can go. And the last scene is showing impact and realistic explosion elements on apparently a moon surface. That I don't know if that means that there's going to be certain planets with certain gravities. Maybe when you're on the moon with no gravity, things will act differently. Either way, the lighting and the explosion itself looks amazing. This game is just going to look great. You can even see particle effects and things flying around. And then, I guess there was one more scene, the barrel explosion. Every game has to have barrels that explode. Space barrels, to be precise, in Mass Effect. Now, even though this footage was short, as you can see, there's a lot hidden. A lot more that just doesn't pop out at you. You almost have to literally pause and look at every little bit of detail. Now, even though BioWare may not have wanted this footage to necessarily reach the public, it doesn't mean that there isn't stuff to be seen that doesn't immediately jump out at you. That's all of it. As you can see, even though this gameplay is short, there is a lot of information hidden here. Now, I want to know, what do you think, Mass Effect Nation? Do you see anything I missed? Let me know in the comments below. Your comment may get featured in a future video. And be sure to like and share this video and subscribe to my channel if you want to be part of Mass Effect Nation, a strong community of fans that loves to share real Mass Effect information, news, and theories. Help let BioWare know that Mass Effect is loved and followed. And as always, thanks for watching. Kila Salai, Mass Effect Nation.